Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Monday afternoon. Hope the day's going well. Hope the weekend was solid, and obviously you watched the game yesterday afternoon because it was a belter of a game. So we'll talk a little bit about that, sort of some thoughts and feelings around the game, some takeaways and what have you. We're talking about this really interesting thing that came out around Eberiche Eze. So we'll talk about the Eze situation and the Spurs link towards it, and Ange was talking about some of the transfers towards the summer transfer window. So we're talking about his quotes and kind of, I guess, not trying to dampen the mood, but kind of be a bit more realistic. So plenty to get into, plenty to talk about. Just want to say, if you're new, subscribe. You're very much welcome to join us for the journey. And let's talk yesterday's game. So yeah, yesterday's game was obviously it was a slightly important game. Obviously, looking at the league table before the game, one game obviously in hand on Aston Villa, but obviously 5 points behind. Really, you could not afford to lose that game. A draw, not too bad, not the end of the world, but you couldn't lose that game. As well as obviously Manchester United winning, being obviously in sixth, losing was out of the question. We couldn't allow Manchester United to cash up that much, as well as Aston Villa pull away. So going into the game, I think it was right to say, it was going to be a cagey one to start off with. I think looking at Aston Villa's formation, they kind of just changed their whole system. Evidently, they'd seen something of, let's try and get one-on-one with their centre-halves, because obviously Spurs press so high. But you're forgetting that your two attackers aren't as quick as Mickey, so you're not going to be able to run in behind. As we saw, Mickey caught up to those guys countless times, as well as Romero being, the better centre-half anyway. So it wasn't exactly an efficient way to attack Spurs' defence, I guess. When you look at really the rest of the team, they really couldn't get out of their own half most of the game. We pinned them back. We cut off, the ways and triangles and things that you would expect Villa to play. Douglas Luiz didn't really get on the ball. Obviously, John McGinn really didn't do a lot in the first half. We'll come to the second half in a minute. So it was really Spurs dictating everything. Emery was talking about how they controlled the first half. And I mean, look, he's probably smoking something, and I'd want to know what he's smoking, because there was no way Aston Villa controlled that first half. He was obviously watching a different game. But one thing I did notice, and I thought was really interesting, is you actually found Pape Matar filling in towards the sixth row a lot more and letting Bissouma go forward and press, because Bissouma is much better at winning the ball and tackling than Pape. Pape's obviously got a ton more energy to give, but when you are pressing so high and the balls are going to go into the midfield and you need to be able to pounce on those guys, Bissouma is much more inclined to do that. So it was really interesting that Biss was getting a little bit more forward, which I've no issues with. I thought he was fantastic yesterday, Bissouma. I keep seeing Spurs fans saying that he owes us. I didn't lend him a fiver. He owes me nothing. He owes himself to play well every week. That's all he owes himself. Doesn't owe us anything as fans. That's a bit of a ridiculous take. I actually didn't think we used the ball well enough in the first half. We had so much of the ball. We had a lot of control. We didn't really create anything, I thought Brennan Johnson was actually probably one of the more lively players in the first half. Ran past Cash quite a few times, got to the byline. Yeah, sometimes it didn't work, but he was trying. I thought Kulusevski was quiet, to be honest. Maddison, they obviously had Douglas Luiz or McGinn following Maddison around a lot, so he didn't find a ton of space. Porro was quiet, but to be fair, it's his first game back after a few weeks out. It's a high intense game. I wasn't too fussed. I knew he would grow into the game. Sonny was obviously quiet because we couldn't get the ball really into him in space. But Destiny looked good. Destiny and the two centre halves looked very, very solid. Going into the second half, obviously Mickey went off very early on. They said that he's going to be having a scan this week, so we'll see what happens from that. But he supposedly told Ange he doesn't feel it as bad as last one. So with the international break coming up, we've obviously got Fulham away this weekend, because it's a bit of an FA Cup Prem weekend coming up. It's not the end of the world if he's only going to miss one game. And to be honest, from what I saw from Dragushin, I was quite happy with what I saw. First serious amount of minutes, intense game. It's 0-0, by the way. This game is still up for taking. I was really happy with what I saw. I was worried. I was thinking, he's playing on the left. Will he be able to play out well enough? But to be honest, when you're playing next to Romero, it always makes it a little bit easier. Obviously, Maddison getting the first goal with Kulusevski, really good play down the wing, getting Pape into space. Pape, that ball in from Pape Matar is perfect. It's rare to see a perfect cross, but it was. It was too far for the centre halves to sort of get their feet on it. And if they did, you never know where that's going to really go. It was too far away from Martinez to get on it, but it was just perfect for Maddison to stab it in. So very good first goal. And then we actually scored 3 minutes later through Brennan Johnson. Again, another good play from Kulusevski. We pressed. He won the ball. Sonny, dragging the defender, letting Johnson or Kulusevski. There was 2 options he had. He slides it to Johnson. Lovely finish, 2-0. The game was done, in theory, for me, at 2-0. Yes, you never know. But the way we were playing, we were in full control. I had no concerns about that game. The sending off for me is a sending off. Purely because he's made no effort to win the ball. He's gone in with aggression. The ball's gone. The ball is seriously gone. Between you watch this and me, that's how far it's gone. He's kicked right through both legs. I don't think it's a dangerous tackle in terms of like he's not gone in aggressively, like he's intending to hurt him, but he's gone in there to take frustration out that how the game's going. But it's quite funny. You see fans going, "That's not a red card," but you see Konsa telling him, "Mate, use your head." A lot of the Villa players are looking at John McGinn like, "Mate, you're the captain. You're supposed to be the guy to keep us all in check. Don't lose your head." And then towards the end of the game, obviously we scored 2 in 3 minutes, and then we had a big gap, and then scored another 2 in 3 minutes. Sonny obviously getting the third. Lovely finish from Sonny. It was on the bounce as well. It whips it. Martinez, I felt bad for him because Martinez couldn't save the first one. The second one you felt bad for because he's 1-on-1 with Johnson. The third one he's not saving, and the fourth one he probably isn't saving. So he had a bit of a rough game, but not his own fault, if you know what I mean. And then really happy for Timo to get on the score sheet. I was hoping he'd start, but to be honest, I thought Johnson played really well, so I'm not really worried. Obviously, there'll be people sitting in these comment sections saying that Johnson's still rubbish, Timo's rubbish, Spurs are rubbish, everyone's rubbish, the world's rubbish. It's a bit of an agenda. You can you don't have to like a player, but you can sit there and say he's played well. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to talk Iberiche Eze. It came from Tom Alner through the Tottenham way. Good little thing there to get into if you haven't seen it on X or Twitter. And he was talking about Eberiche Eze, and this was really interesting. And he said that it was interesting to me that Eze and his entourage had basically a full box themselves at Tottenham when Palace played us. I don't know if that's entirely normal for an opposition player to have a whole suite of their friends and family and presumably a couple of agents. I know Eze belongs to Base, who are an agency very connected with Tottenham, but I did wonder if there was a bit of a wooing going on there. I wonder if they gave Eze and his pack a very nice day out at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's quite a funny one. You do see this in football, but also it's a way of not manipulating or turning heads illegally, but you're saying, yeah, you can have a box. That's all right. Yeah, you have a box. Shout if you need anything. And obviously that'll get fed back to Eze, and they go, yeah, we were looked after really nice by Spurs. And, they're doing quite well. And I think as time gone on, Neto's got injured again at the weekend. I think as time's gone on, I think Spurs might drift ever so slightly away from Neto towards Eberiche Eze. And I'm all for that, by the way. All for that. He can play on the left. He can play the Maddison role if we want him to. I'm all for that. The more I've thought about it, the more I'm more on board with Eze. And I think he'll be cheaper than Neto as well. Maybe not by a lot, but I think it'll be a bit cheaper. And again, it allows you to spend a little bit more in other areas. And we do have other areas of need. Speaking of summer, Postecoglou's talking, and he was saying that he said 100 million signing for Spurs in the summer. If I had the luxury of 100 million, I'd rather get 2 for 50 million players rather than 1 for 100 million. I always felt that it's really important how you use the funds you have available and know they are not limitless. He talked about the expected summer. He said it depends on availability of players, suitability of players. There could be more activity. There could be less activity. But again, we want to do is make sure we bring in the right ones. How often do £100 million signings pay off? I think that's the first question we should ask. We should look literally outside of London to Chelsea. They have 2 in their midfield. Enzo's been all right, but he's not been anything near 100 million. And Caicedo is not worth half of that. Declan Rice has worked out at Arsenal, but I think that's more about what they had around him for that to work out. I think had he gone in there maybe a couple of years ago, he wouldn't have worked out as well. Look at Man United. Anthony's worth 85, 86 million or something like that. That's not worked out. You look at some of the big signings they've made, not worked out. Man City bought Jack Grealish for 100 million. It's worked in spurts, but it's also not worked a lot as well. You look at Liverpool; they've not signed anyone for 100 million. The biggest signing they made, obviously, was Van Dijk for 75, and yes, that worked out. But again, they've not spent 100. PSG bought Neymar. It was good, but wasn't great. Mbappe's worked out, but obviously they're losing him now on a free. Real Madrid, 100 million euros maybe, but not 100 million pounds. You think of Ronaldo and Bale, both worked out. So it doesn't really correlate to success, that kind of spending. And for me, I'd rather do that Postecoglou route. Here's 100 million. I'm actually going to split that in half. I want 2 players. It's going to benefit us a lot more than just going one big signing, couple of little signings, boom. If we spent 150 million, I'd much rather us spend that on 4 players than I would spend that on 2 players. Yes, these 2 guys might be really good, but when you have so many other needs, and I've talked about it, you need a keeper, you need a left back, you need a centre half, you need a right back, you need a central midfielder, maybe 2. You need 1 or 2 wingers and an attacker. You still need 7 or 8 players. So spending a big sum of money on 1 player, maybe getting 1 or 2 other ones, doesn't really work out when you could buy 5 or 6 and you start to really pack out the squad. Especially for next year, using the idea of twice a week or 3 times a week worth of football, it makes sense. So look, I know some people might get annoyed at the idea that we can't spend 100 million. We can. Now, if there was a guarantee it was going to work, then we would, but it doesn't make any sense when you have so many other issues. You have so many other needs. You see it this season. Had we maybe spent in the summer, let's say this summer coming, we buy 3 players worth 150 million. You spent 100, say we bought Neto for 80 and then we spent 70 million on 2 other guys. Do you really think that would be enough? Or you spend 150 on 5 players. That would be so much better. See what I mean? I want to see what you guys think though. Obviously, that's the end of the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Drop a like on the video. If you'd hit me in the comments section, your thoughts and feelings about what Ange said about the summer, 100 million spend, players coming in, all that jazz. Obviously, the Eberiche Eze situation, interesting to know if he's the guy that you want over Neto like me, or vice versa. Thoughts and feelings about that. Obviously, talk about the game as well. I'm interested to see what you guys think. If there is any people that hate players for not scoring 70,000 goals, let me know your thoughts and feelings about that. Subscribe to the channel if you need and hit the notification for more. But guys, at the end of the video, I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.